So right now, everybody in Math 103 should be reading Chapter 5 and starting to read 6A and 6B, because that's probably 6A and 6B is what we're going to be covering today. Okay? And then we'll go into probability, which is 7, all of Chapter 7. So you need to make a note. 5, 6, and 7 is what we're going to be going over for probably the first 5 weeks. Okay?
Yes, the first is right. 5, 6, and 7 chapters. 5, 6, and 7.
Just
All
5
right,
minutes.
right now, we've got 4 here.
5 minutes.
I
Chapter.
swear I believe there's one more student supposed to be here.
I told Miss Joanne if anybody was walking around circles to let them know we were in.
Walking around, well,
She saw me and she told me.
yeah,
She was
it
in-
happens.
Hey, the Anderson campus.
Where is my... Hold on just a second. I'm going to make sure before I get
Yeah,
started.
she's at the intersection.
Oh, she is. Oh, he just did it. So we just exit out trying.
That's what I have to do.
Can I show you something really quick?
Yeah. What?
I bought an access code. I have the transaction.
Yeah, so this one is interesting. And this one's easy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they do that. And then this is
Where's that?
I don't know. I don't know where it is on the email.
It should just tell you to click on the link and it'll take you right to it.
Do you have any questions about this purchase?
We'll look at it.
Okay.
Evidently, it was supposed to send you to your class. Is what it was supposed to do.
Oh, it didn't.
Okay.
But I sent them an email with the transaction number and everything.
Okay, that's not right. There's supposed to be one more student in this class. Don't ask me how I know that. After the phone calls Friday, I added up in my head, and there's supposed to be like 9 students. Okay. And I don't think it was the Easley campus. I think it was the Anderson campus. And right now, the Pendleton campus, okay, yeah. There's supposed to be one more, but I may be totally wrong. All right. So can all y'all see the whiteboard? Make sure we're all good on that. Can y'all see my whiteboard?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So last week we talked about all the preliminary moving up to Chapter 5, which means statistics. We talked about the parameters. We talked about the statistics, the population and the mean, the population and the sample. The parameters for the population is Greek letters. The parameters for statistics, the statistics for sample is regular letters. We talked about qualitative versus quantitative. We talked about simple random sample, systematic random sample. Just look on the video, Miss Robinson and Miss Bradley, and you can go over the hot spots of Chapter 5. That's what I did Thursday of last week. Okay? Or whatever day we meet. Wednesday of last week. So, today I'm going to start Chapter 6. And I told you that today y'all would be very familiar with this material because this is the material that you learn in pre-algebra, you learn it in Math 120 in high school, and even if you don't learn it in Math 120, somewhere along the K through 12 route, you picked up the mean, median, mode, those things that we do in statistics. All right? And as soon as I pull it up, we'll go over it again.
He said you can have a TA83.
Now, there's not much in statistics that we're going to be going over in 6.A or 6A that a lot of you haven't seen, or it's really basic math. So don't be intimidated by some of the formulas you're going to see, because just like the formula for the mean, it's the summation of x over n. And when people see the summation symbol, they like freak out because it's a Greek letter, uppercase capitalized, or uppercase sigma is the Greek letter, and people freak out when they see it in a formula. But you've been doing I don't know why that thing's not coming up. You've been doing the average since you were in 5th or 6th grade, when you were trying to figure out your test average or whatever the case may be. So don't be intimidated by some of the formulas you're going to see. And slowly coming up, we're going to go through the mean, median, mode, range, mid-range, variance, and standard deviation. That's what we're going to go through. All of it's basic math, but you have to take notes and you have to listen in order to do the math. Okay? Is that in your way? I didn't know that was sitting there. And I'm still waiting for the book to come up. It's never taken this long. It's the Russians.
What was that thing about your sing?
On Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you got a lot of people that didn't grow up in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a 50-year rain or a 100-year rain like we had the other night,
Mm-hmm.
sediment gets into the water system. And some people that live out in the country or ever been on a well water, they freak out and start going into convulsions when they see a little bit of dirt in the water. So I went ahead and put it out there that people were going to start panicking and running around in circles in confusion because the water was going to be a little bit dingy.
You just let it run.
Well,
Or no?
you just don't understand people. I mean, you'll see. Eventually, you'll see. That's why I put a picture of my truck in knee-deep water.
Yeah, that was funny.
Okay, characterizing data. We're not worried about that. Make sure that whenever you're given data that you put it in order. We've already discussed that. Distribution. That's what your numbers look like. That's a normal distribution, skewed right, skewed left. And if we didn't cover that last week, we'll cover it this week with skewed right and skewed left. I know, it's the same as 120. I know, but I get them mixed up sometimes, so I can't remember when I cover what. What is an average? Now, when I asked you what is an average, most of y'all will say it's the number that you add up and divide by the number of numbers that you have. Okay? If you have 4 test grades, you add them up and you divide by 4. But that's really not what the definition of an average is. That's the mathematical definition. And I'm going to show you what the actual definition of, if I can do this on this screen. So I'm going to try it. This is going to be our first day trying the whiteboard, okay? So if you take a readout or a bar graph of let's go with 2, 4, 6, 8. You don't have to. I told them, I said, y'all need to get a whiteboard in here. Of course, I'm just a teacher that teaches the class every day, that's all. Oh, you can use this. Yeah, whatever. All right, so you got to... That's not what I want. I want the little one.
Center.
That's what I'm trying to get it to do. Somebody's been in here playing with the settings. Y'all bear with me a minute. No, you were playing with it. Are you rushing? Okay. That explains it. All right. And we got a... There we go. It's not supposed to be doing this. And then we got one up here. These are supposed to be boxes, okay? Y'all use your imagination.
See, the hard thing about those is you can't put your, like, wrist down. You have
I
to pick it
know.
up.
That's what's so aggravating.
Yeah.
So y'all have to bear with me.
Your pinky game is strong enough.
I know. At least I can hold my pinky up. And one. It's never worked this bad before. Usually it
Wish my
works.
pen would work.
All right, there's a bar chart. It's pretty much sucks, but y'all can use your imagination and see that it's a bar chart, right?
That's a histogram, right?
Okay, well, it's a histogram. I'm sorry, yes. The bars are touching each other. All right, so, and I want to make one more. Let's make one more that's a little bit bigger. I know. Y'all gonna see me throw a little temper tantrum in a minute. Okay, now it's not even registering. Now, it's never done this before. When we were trying it before, it never once did all this stuff. Okay, there we go. All right, now I'm going to take this portion and I'm going to color it in red. I don't know why I'm even trying to do this, because I'm going to take this portion right here and let's say that it... I think I need to do this. Y'all bear with me.
Usually it ends up in early.
I'm just going to use the mouse.
And a little bit before.
Okay. Take this guy
I do that all the time.
right here,
Not sure.
and let's take him out and cut it out and put it right here. Okay, let's just use our imagination and say that that piece right there can fit in here. And let's take this piece, the remaining piece right here, and let's move it right here. That's what I'm fixing to show you. So in essence, what can we do to this piece? We can pretty much erase that, right? Okay. And then we take this piece and we'll use a green marker. And we take this piece right here, this green, and let's say that it's big enough to fit right there. Now the reason I'm being, the sizes don't match up is because I'm doing good just to get this done on this screen, okay? So just, you have to use your imagination a little bit. So, I have basically, let's take one line and make it magenta. And draw it right there. Now, what does that magenta line represent? The average, yeah.
You see?
But what does it mean as far as the boxes?
They're all equal?
They're all equal. Now, what is that called in statistics when everything is equal? All you military people should be able to tell me what that means. When everybody is equal, everybody dresses the same way.
They're uniform.
Uniform. All right? This is called uniformity. This is called no variance. You need to write that down. That magenta line, it represents mathematically the average. But in a definition, it is the number which represents no variance. Everybody's equal. Everybody's the same. So when you do the class average of a test, like you know how, well, I don't know about now. When I was a student,
He said variance.
the teacher would pass out the test after we'd done it, after they were graded, and they'd put the class average and the standard deviation on the board. All right. The reason they would do that is because they want you, as a student, to see where you fit on this magenta line. So if the class average was a 72 and you made a 46, then you pretty much suck as far as the rest of the class. But if the class average was a 72 and you made like a 90, then that tells you that you're above the variance. You're above the line that represents no variance, of equality, of uniformity. This is also called the average, it's called no variance, and it's called uniform distribution. You need to write that down because you'll see that word again, whether it's on a test or a standardized test or the next couple of chapters in Math 120. Uniform distribution. Uniform distribution is about the opposite of normal distribution. Okay? So that magenta line is the number representing no variance. And if you don't know what variance is going all over the place. Just think of a okay, y'all like SpongeBob? Well, there's one episode where SpongeBob and Patrick are doing whirlwinds in SpongeBob's house, and they hit each other and they go all over the place. Well, that's what variance is. Variance is a ping pong ball in a room full of mouse traps. All right. If you throw a ping pong ball and the floor is covered with mouse traps, that ping pong ball is going to go all over the place. And that's variance, all right? So if you have what we had before, of course, I'm going to try to use this whiteboard, and this is going to pretty much, I'm sorry, y'all just have to bear with me. And I'm going to use a straight line, and I'm going to color it blue. In the before picture, we had this, I think, something like this.
No.
Well, we have that, and then down, and then up here. Okay, that's variance. Anytime you got boxes going up and down, or you got a plot that's a line plot that's going up and down, up and down. Think of an EKG. An EKG has variance all over the place. Versus, what's the opposite of EKG? Being all over the place. You dead. Thank you. All right. You're supposed to say passed away. I'm offended. I need safe space. All right. So you dead. The opposite of EKG being all over the place is dead, which she just said. Flatline. Flatline means, okay, no variance. There ain't nothing going on. All right. So that's, and a lot of people go through Math 120 or probability and statistics. And you ask them what average are, ask them what the definition of average is, and they can't tell you. All they say is the conditioned response. You add up all the numbers and you divide by how many numbers there are. That's the only thing they give you. They can't tell you that it's the number that represents no variance in a distribution. Okay? So I would like for you to know that, because at least you can know something. If you come out of this class not knowing anything, at least you'll know that the definition of the average is the number that represents no variation. Okay? Or zero variation. And we're going to have to do something, because this ain't going to work. This stylus ain't going to work. Well, I asked them to do that, but IT said that would be too complicated. Let me just put it to you this way. If there was 50 teachers that did this right here or recorded, there wouldn't be any problem. But since I'm the only one on the freaking campus that does this kind of stuff, I'm in the minority, and the minority don't get squat. All right. So that takes care of that. So now you know what the mean is. Now let's move on. Median.
Do you mean average?
What did I say? The mean?
Mean.
Yeah, mean and average, the same thing.
Oh.
Yeah. All right, the median. Now, if I just give you the word median, what's the first thing that you think of?
Middle.
Middle of the highway, right? Median. You know that concrete thing that you run over when you're not driving correctly? All right, that's the median. Median means middle. All right? Now, there's a difference between the midpoint and the median. The midpoint only uses the minimum and maximum, whereas the median is located in the numbers. Okay? One is calculated, the other one is like, there it is. Okay? Which one is more accurate? The median is more accurate because it's not calculated. It is in the numbers. Okay? The midpoint, or the middle, whatever they call it, midpoint, the midpoint is calculated and it's less accurate because it's using the beginning, the minimum, and the maximum number. So if your maximum number is way off of your regular numbers, your body of numbers, then it's going to throw the midpoint way off, whereas the median will still be the median. You'll see what I'm talking about when we start doing calculations. And when I start doing the calculations on the Excel spreadsheet, you'll start to see how the actual numbers, think of your test averages. If you have a test average of 72, 75, 78, 79, and 107, all right, what's the problem as far as calculating? What's going to throw off your numbers?
The range. Maximum.
The 107 is going to throw off your numbers because they're not in line with the other four. You see what I'm saying? So, which one uses the maximum? The midpoint. So the midpoint is going to be inaccurate compared to the median because the median, you just look at those 5 numbers and you pick the middle number. It doesn't have a weight on it with the minimum and maximum. Okay? So, what is the median? It's the number. All right? It's the number in the middle. Now, in order for you to do the number in the middle, you have to put the numbers in what? In order. Yes. And with an odd amount, you just find the middle number. If n is equal to 5, if n is equal to 7, if n is the number of test grades, okay? I'm saying test grades, but it can be number of people that you surveyed, or it can be, what happened, Easley Campus? You still there?
Can you hear us?
Yeah, your video went out. Hit your video, hit your TV, and see if it just turned off. I don't know why it would turn off by itself.
Weird.
If not, I'll bring you back in. There you are.
Yay!
Okay. What happened?
I don't know.
That's odd. I ain't never seen a video just turn off. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Keeps
it's some damn Russians. What? You always blame somebody else. You know that, right? Okay. Integrity.
Life
First
lesson?
rule of integrity. Always blame somebody else when things don't go your way. Blame George W. Bush. Blame the Russians. All right. Mode. Oh, even. If n is even. If n is equal to 4 test grades. If n is equal to 6 test grades. If n is equal to 8 test grades. Then you take the middle 2 and take the what? Average. You add them up and divide by 2. I'm not worried about that because we're going to do that so many times with the examples that I'm going to do. You'll get it, okay? Mode. The best thing I tell students to do right for mode is put equals most. The number that shows up the most. Okay? Question, gripe, complaint. I know. Well, you go get me a water or something. I didn't have a chance. Huh? Yeah. Here, take the road in case you need it. That's my allowance my son gave me this morning, $3. I forgot. I forgot my silver cup, and
I poured it out in the upstairs, and I was like,
yeah. Be like the teacher that came, bring the red Solo cup every day,
Was there booze in it?
Yeah, every class. He would go to this car and fill it up, yeah. No, no.
No.
He taught for 2 semesters.
I probably won't take it.
If I put a bottle of Jack Daniels in my truck and came to this school, I would get fired. I mean, that's the kind of things that work for me. I mean, these people, they do stuff like that all the time. We had a speech teacher that just decided he wanted to show a porn movie in middle class. He said it was part of the class.
What's the logic behind that?
He talks. No, in South Carolina, you gonna do that? Really? I mean, I can understand that in New York, California, but this guy was in South freaking Carolina. Okay, it went over like a lead balloon in a punch bowl, and he got fired that afternoon. Anyway.
What did he say his reason for it was?
I think it was called PERVERT, if you want to know the truth about it, but
Sounds about right.
oh, listen, we have some doozies. We had a Spanish teacher one time. He was about dumb as a rock. I ain't even going to tell you what he did. But there's only a few ways you can get fired at Tri-County Tech, and his was one of the cardinal rules besides killing a student.
Sleeping with one.
Well, he didn't just sleep. He just left the door open in his office, unlocked. Somebody walked in on him.
I mean, I'm not condoning, but at least be smart about it.
What'd you say? I'm sorry.
I said I'm not condoning, but at least be smart about it. I mean, come on.
What'd you say, Miss Wee?
He was trying to get it.
Yeah, somebody was trying to get an A. At least you locked the door.
You're gonna do it.
Exactly.
Especially if you're in a nursing program, you know what I mean? It's like with somebody in a
I've heard the nursing program is real bad. No, I'm just kidding.
You do that kind of stuff to get an A.
Or to get in the program, right?
I feel like, is that all I got to do right now?
I think I'm teaching the wrong course. I think I need to start teaching nursing.
He's a science class.
Okay, so now this book, I don't like this book because it says that students are ignorant, so it doesn't even give you the right formula. It just writes down the mean is equal to the sum of all values divided by the total number of values. Okay, the way that's written is sigma of x. In other words, the summation of x. Sigma is the big, funky looking E. Okay, looks like a 3 backwards, okay, of x over n, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's take, for example, this guy right here. I'll let you go ahead and put them in order, and I think they are in order, and go ahead and find the average of these energy bar prices, okay? Now, of course, they got it right there, and you can see the answer. But I want you to take your calculator and go ahead and punch through it and see if you can get the same answer. Okay? And I'm going to pull the Excel spreadsheet up. Now, before I pull up the Excel spreadsheet, let me go ahead and put out this disclaimer. Hubert using the Excel spreadsheet does not mean that you have to use the Excel spreadsheet or master the Excel spreadsheet. You do not have to use it on homework. You do not have to use it on tests. Somebody will put in the evaluations. He said we had to use the Excel spreadsheet. I don't even know how to use it.
Yeah, pass that.
I have an extra kind.
Oh, great.
It's not that kind, but it's scientific, so.
So while y'all are working, I'm gonna pull up this Excel spreadsheet. And the reason I use the Excel spreadsheet is so I can get everything on the board. And since I'm not using
Can I
a
put like a
pen,
comma?
I can
Put all of them in there? What are they?
use the Excel spreadsheet instead of
Yeah,
the pen.
just add them. Like,
Add 'em.
I think he wants to find the average.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, just find the average for right now. And I'm going to pull up the handy dandy problem, make it small, and then bring the Excel spreadsheet over. And I'm going to type them in. 1.09, 1.29, 1.29, 1.35, 1.39, 1.49, 1.59. What's the last one?
1.79.
1.79. Now, instead of going through a bunch of pages of the book, we're going to just take this Excel spreadsheet and we're going to do everything on it, and then I'm going to make up one, and that'll be a couple of examples in your notebook. Now, please, let me go out and throw out this disclaimer. I don't know how many of you have had probability. I don't know how many of you have had 7 probabilities in your lifetime, okay? Statistics and probability courses. So when I'm teaching this, I'm teaching it, excuse the terminology, but I'm teaching it to the dumbest student in the class, okay? I'm trying to teach it to the one that has never seen it before, okay? So if I go too slow for you, I'm sorry, but that's just the way I teach, okay? All right, so there's X. Now, if I want N, then I go down here and I say summation. There's the sigma right there. If you see my board right there, sigma is the funky looking E. That's the Greek capital sigma. The lowercase sigma is for standard deviation of the sample, and it's a little O with an Elvis loop on it, or a pompadour or whatever on it.
Yeah, it just means the sum of them, not
Summation, exactly. Add them up.
Nope.
Now, this is X right here, and this is the summation of X. And let's go ahead and insert a row here. N is equal to how many numbers? 8. There's 8. So it's even, so we're going to have to find the median by using the average. Okay, so now let's go over here and I'm going to put mean. Mean is also called the average, is also called X bar. All of those are the same thing. Okay?
And would it mean something? Sigma.
No, X bar. Oh, mu.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mu is the population average. X bar is the sample. So if you're in a meeting and you are, you're very smart in the class and the meeting, and the presenter is saying mu is equal to 7.5 and X bar is equal to 6.5. Then you say to yourself, okay, that's the population mean versus the sample mean, because he's using X bar and mu. But I'm showing you, right in this case, I'm showing you the different names for the average, and that's why I'm putting 4. So I'm not saying this is the sample average or whatever. Say again?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all go, okay.
You said X bar and mu is the population, right?
Yes, the mu is population mean, and X bar is sample mean. That's in chapter 5. Okay? And it's not in the book. I go through it when it talks about sample statistic and population parameter. When it talks about that in the video, I say that an example of a population parameter would be mu, and an example of a sample statistic would be x bar. Okay, x bar, or the sample statistic of the mean, is usually called x bar average or the mean. Okay, if I throw mu out there, that should be a little flag that goes up and you saying, oh, that's the population mean. Okay, but usually the mean and the average goes with x bar, because most of the time statistics deals with the what? The sample, and predicts for the population. All right, so most of your work is done with the sample. So that's why the x bar and average and mean go together. All right, so we're going to take all of those numbers and add them up and divide by what? Divide by 8. And that's your mean. So everybody should get 1.41. Now, let me go ahead and talk about rounding, because everybody screws that up. So might as well go ahead and talk about it right now. Usually the rounding is done at the end of the calculation. Do not do it on the beginning of the calculation or in the middle of a calculation. We're going to be doing several calculations here. You do not round while you're calculating. You do the math, and then at the very end you read the directions and see what you need to round to. Do not round beginning or during a calculation. You always wait till the end. Okay? All right. The next thing is the median. The median is the middle. So I'm just going to color this yellow. And we're going to take these two guys right here and color them yellow. And I'm going to say equals, parentheses, this guy plus this guy divided by 2. So you need to write those two things down, those two numbers, and divide by 2.
No?
Maybe I'm having population.
Yes, worked up.
Huh?
Seem a little worked up.
No, that's my hormones. I think I need some Midol.
Got some right here for you.
Huh?
I got some right here for you.
Okay, so that's your median. Okay, the mode. What's the mode? The number that shows up the what? The most. Well, we got decimals. It's going to be, okay, $1.29. Now, let's talk about this. You need to get your notes out, you get your pencil out, because you need to write some notes about the mode. The mode can be more than one number. So like if we had $1.29, $1.29, $1.35, and $1.35. Both of them show up twice. So the mode would be $1.29, comma, $1.35. All right? There can be many modes, depending on how big your sample set is. If your sample set is 115 numbers, then you might have more than one mode. But what if you have $1.29 show up twice and $1.35 show up 4 times? Well, the $1.35 is your mode. Remember, the mode is the number that shows up the most. Okay? If you have one mode, it's called monomodal. If you have 2 modes, it's called bimodal. 3 modes, trimodal. And more than 3 is polymodal. Now, do not put 0 as a mode unless it is actually the mode. All right? Why would you put 0 as mode? Well, some people, if there's no mode, they'll just put 0. And that's in some essay, smart aleck teacher will say 0 is not even in the data set.
What's 2 modes?
What? Bimodal. Think of a bicycle. Okay? So do not, if there's no mode, you put no mode, you put non-applicable, you put does not exist, you write the answer out. You do not put a 0 unless 0 shows up 6 times, and then 0 would be your mode. I'm just warning you, there's some teachers out there that even though they know what you're talking about, they're going to make some smart aleck remark and mark it wrong, and that's going to be a gimme on a problem, because the mode, in essence, is a gimme because you don't have to what?
Calculate.
You don't have to calculate. I think you were talking about that. Okay? You don't have to calculate it. You just observe it.
On the homework,
Mm-hmm.
if there's no mode, should we put 0 or 9?
I think they tell you to put an N if there's no mode.
Oh, it will tell us.
Yeah, it'll
right?
tell you.
Okay.
Yeah. But on a test, on a hard copy test, or on homework that another teacher, you would put no mode, you would put non-applicable, does not exist, there ain't none, there ain't one, however you want to put it. Okay? Range. Mid-range.
A whole lot like probability and statistics.
It is. You asked algebra. I said there's no algebra.
Don't cuss at me, please.
I'm telling you the truth.
You had a bad experience. 102 is not that hard. You just had a bad presenter. Range. Well, range is pretty simple. It's the highest minus the what? Highest minus the lowest. Write that down in your notes so you won't forget it. So highest minus the lowest. That noise, it sounded like somebody trying to start a lighter. Oh my God, ISIS is trying to blow up one of our campuses.
He's so sorry.
Oh, somebody's typing. Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he like.
I don't mean to make you feel self-conscious.
Yeah, ISIS makes my trigger finger itch.
Oh, whatever. All right. Range, mid-range. Oops. Wow, I screwed that up. Okay. Daggone.
You had already written it. Wrote it.
Oh, I have. Why did I write it twice?
I don't know. I don't know why you did it 2 times.
Okay, I told you it's the drugs. All right, so mid-range is your highest plus your lowest. How
You
dare
said
you talk
highest
about
minus the lowest.
It's the
that? Was the range.
Yeah.
Mid-range is highest plus the lowest divided by 2. You shouldn't say you killed ISIS. That's not nice. You should get them a safe place, get them a job, and surround them with love. That's what that stupid actor out in Hollywood said. What was his name? They need to surround them with love.
I wonder if they think that if they were trying to blow up their children.
Or cut their heads off. Well, do you remember when we went to Saudi back in the 90s, there was this group of protesters. They went over to Iraq. No, they went over to Kuwait. I'm sorry. I was in Saudi. Okay, they went to Kuwait, and they held up these signs that said, "We love you, Iraq. We love the Iraqi army. We love Kuwait. Peace. Make love, not war." Guess what the Iraqis did?
Shot them.
Cut their heads off.
They loved them all over the place, huh?
Yeah. Those people are dead. They have uniform distribution.
Seasonedness.
That was so bad.
Flatliner.
No, it's not. Idiots. I'm sorry. Some people
Oh,
just
I thought you
want
meant it-
punishment.
I thought you meant a different
hey, I
thing.
think I'll go over Iraq and live.
No, I thought thought you meant in a different way, like uniform distribution of their
No.
blood or something.
The
No.
body parts, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It was a math pun. It was
I
called.
wonder what happened to their peace signs. Reckon they burned them.
I got inserted into them.
Oh, Lord, I'm sorry. There's just some things I just don't agree with. And snowflakes, I don't agree with snowflakes. Okay,
Is that what you're calling liberals now?
that's what liberals are called now, snowflakes. Yeah, because they have to have safe spaces on campuses when...
Do we have that here?
You in South freaking Carolina, we don't have safe spaces here. We have guns. All right. Now, what's after mid-range? The variance. And the standard deviation.
Say that word. My blood pressure's way.
I know. Y'all gonna faint?
This is
You'll
not
have
a
to
lot
make
to
me
do
draw
for one set of
Make me draw
numbers.
that 3
Yeah, but when you get finished doing this like 5-6 times, you're gonna be like, oh, this is easy. And standard deviation.
hot.
I know.
That one makes my.
You got some eyeball, don't you?
Sounds like algebra or something.
No, this is still basic math.
We're not going to
Okay.
do pretend numbers, are we?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
We might add 2 more and make it 12.
I know. I meant those imaginary numbers that we have to.
No, that's for graphing. No.
Okay.
All right. So with the variance and standard deviation, I'm going to write down the formula. Now, the reason I'm going to write down the formula for you is because I want you to be intimidated and quit the class. No. The reason I want you, so you can read the formula. I want you to read the formula so you'll know what to do with it if you get stuck. If I can write it, I'm just going to do the best I can, y'all. Oh, great. I think we do have safe spaces in South Carolina. I think they're called daycare and nurseries. I think that's what they're
So
called.
that style. What the
The
heck is that?
2017
That
graduating
stylus
class
looks
of
like
Notre Dame
Buki.
Yeah, and I hope that people,
walked out on my.
I hope that people take a video. I hope employers take a video of that thing.
Say, is that you?
And everyone that walked out, I hope they say, well, we're not hiring you.
He didn't even say anything. He was doing his introduction. People are like, well, he was being disrespectful.
What has he done?
He didn't do.
What has he done? He's
He
done
had-
nothing.
He started to say, thank you for inviting me.
Yes.
I mean, that's all he was saying. He was just getting up and walking out.
Well, that's your snowflakes.
Disrespectful bunch of human
Did we do
beings.
that when a Democrat was elected? Did conservatives walk out when a Democrat was elected? No. It's double standards. Please.
Stylist.
It's never done this before.
I got my eye pencil if you think it works.
It'll work.
Give it to him.
It'll be better than whatever
I usually
that
have a
spaceship
couple
thing.
in here, but I only have
I'm
my-
sorry, I just threw a tantrum. I'm sorry.
It's Apple, though. You know how Apple is.
They don't even register. And this is never. I mean, I've tried this thing out several
I
times,
usually do, but I don't now.
and it's never done this. It's never been this lethargic.
Does it have to register with something?
Mm-mm. See, the reason is I'm not writing on a board. If I was writing on a board, it would be like this. Okay? And this, I don't know how people use these things. I really don't. Because it really sucks.
Can that little flower thing come off the end of that?
Mm-mm.
There's a stylus right there. Isn't that a normal
That one
stylus?
don't work. That one works worse.
Are you sure?
Yeah, we tried it.
But maybe since it's working lethargic, that might work better with the stylus.
That one was the first one we used. Y'all just bear with me. Maybe, you know what I should have said? When they said, what do you need? I need a stylus with a touch screen. Then they would have put up a whiteboard. mercy. Okay.
That sounds like a 1987 typewriter.
I think it's just her keyboard, whoever is typing, it must be right beside the mic. That's why. Or
It
she's
is.
having fits like I am.
It's my mouse, actually.
Huh?
Our screen
mouse.
went blank.
What?
Or
Your
it's
screen
frozen.
what?
Our screen is frozen.
Okay, so you can't see anything that I'm
See
writing?
down here?
We can see what you're writing, but your screen is frozen.
Okay. I can't see what you see, so.
Look over here on the right side.
Okay.
Right there. You see?
So you can't see her moving around? See on the bottom?
I don't know what caused that. Let me turn it off and turn it back on.
I figured this was going to be this way.
Well, that's why we're doing it. And
That's why we're doing
y'all
it.
say this is the
Summer,
first.
not fall.
This is the first time we've had these problems, is it not?
Yeah, it's Monday morning though.
Thursday.
Okay, try that. Is that doing any better? Well, it's
No,
not
still
doing.
frozen.
I think we might have to take a time out and reboot.
No, we don't have to
Tell them-
reboot.
tell them
I
to
need
turn
to
theirs
take
off.
him out and bring him back in. All right, I'm gonna take y'all out,
Okay.
Okay.
and then I'll bring y'all back in.
Are they at the Easley campus?
Mhm.
Oh, Easley campus is like the meeting.
Okay, let me add them back.
No, nope, you're frozen up top. See it?
No, it's frozen, yeah, see?
Oh, now you move. It says in a conference call. I think that they're going to have to turn theirs off.
Oh, we have no way of communicating with them.
Call them. We have their phone number, keyboard. This AD 110, that's Pendleton.
Mm-hmm.
I sent him an email or a text the night I'm looking at the classes, and I was like, "What the hell's going on? They got you at 3 different campuses for the same
Yep.
time."
Joe, this is Hubert. Could you call Shannon and get Shannon to check on? They need to, or have Shannon call me or something. Or can you transfer me?
Let me just transfer you.
Okay.
Hold on just a minute, okay?
Okay. There. Okay. There it is.
You got it?
Wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go ahead and transfer you.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we've never had this problem before. We've met three.
Okay.
Hey, Shannon, this is Hubert.
Hey.
Can you go in and check or send somebody in and check on Easley? I keep trying to add them. The screen froze up. I've never done that before. And I told them to go back out and I would bring them back in. But their status says offline, so they may have to fix their status so I can bring them back in.
Okay. All right. I'll go in there and look.
All right, thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
They're what? I'm messing up.
Yeah, they got to fix their status. And then we can bring them back in. I'll give her a second to do that. She's right there beside that room, and she's like over there, like in the office. So. The reason we have this class offered
I'm inanimate.
is so department heads won't cancel the classes with 2 or 3. That's why we're doing this. And eventually,
That's convenient. Very.
This will take over the online classes. But see, having this instead of a board, it's not going to work. And I've told them that, but they wouldn't listen to me. So.
Are you a fisherman? Do you like to fish?
Not really. I used to when I was a kid.
Well, here, maybe this will make you feel better because it's kind of funny.
What is that? I'd rather have 4. Comparing that to fish.
This is the wording.
I know. All right, let's try it again. Yeah, she should already had it done by now. Okay, I can't answer that. It's another student. I'll answer that later.
That's right. It's not one of them at the Easley campus.
That reminds me, Hannah, I want to get your number. If you could, well, I can do that while I'm waiting on them. I'm going to put my cell number, and this is for all y'all. I'm going to put it on the board here, but I want you to text me your cell number, Hannah, and Zach, and Miss Villa. I need you to text me yours also, because when I'm running late, oh, well, they're not on there. When I'm running late or whatever. What the heck is this? Okay, y'all back?
Yay!
All right, what happened was, I'll tell you what happened. I guess they told you. The screen that shows me froze up, but the whiteboard did not freeze up. Now, usually when I hit the video, okay, fine. Go ahead. See you later. 864-356-3874. Evidently, he's not IT. I thought he was IT. Okay, there's my cell number.
He might have been.
He looks like a nerd.
Yeah.
Well, come on, he did. Y'all know it.
Write down my cell number. And that way, if I'm really, really running late or something bad has happened and I'm trying to get on, I don't have to go through the staff or whatever. And Miss Robinson, you can write down yours also. You can text me. I just need y'all's numbers because I can communicate with Anderson because I got two or three students in here that I text. So I just need y'all's, if that's fine. And just text me and tell me your name so I can save it, because it'll just help me out if, just like just then, I could call you instead of having to call the Easley campus and go through all that. So anyway, I wanted to do that this morning anyway, so that's a good reason to do that. All right. Now let me try this. I'll try this sorry one, but I don't think it's going to work much better. Yeah, it won't even register. Yep.
Okay, never mind. You just have a really high-tech computer that doesn't like us.
I know. The variance is equal to the summation of x minus x bar, quantity squared, over n minus 1.
Can we say it out loud again?
Yeah, as soon as I get this the summation of x minus x bar, quantity squared, over n minus 1. I think the best way to do that would be this. Hold on just a minute. I'm just going to do something so it'd be easier on y'all's eyeballs. And that means I'll go. See, I'm finding ways to get around this, so y'all just bear with me until they get a better way of writing it. Let's go with variance formula.
Your name
Images.
is Hannah, but no H at the end. I was just.
There.
It's okay. Everyone does it.
There you go. So the summation of x minus x bar over n minus 1. Now while we're at it, I'll just put the white screen on this. I can do this. All right. Well, I think I can. And if you want to know the difference between the variance and the standard deviation is what? The square root of the variance. So write that in your notes. Just write a sentence. The standard deviation is equal to the square root of the variance. Because once we get the variance, all you're going to do is take the square root of it. You ate all of it?
I didn't know you would.
No, that's fine. I was just aggravating you.
That was my breakfast.
So once we get the variance, you have the standard deviation. You just take the square root of it. Now, if you want to, there's the variance. So if you want to check me to make sure I'm not telling you a fib. Wait a minute.
So that statistics squared equals the
Standard deviation.
This S squared, that's the variance. So just put V. Don't put this squared, just put V. Makes things a whole lot easier. And now I'm going to pull up the standard deviation. We've tried that one too. I appreciate it. Standard deviation formula. You see the difference?
Yeah.
There's no difference. It's just square root. That's it. So what we'll do is we will take our handy dandy chopping tool. I don't like the other word. And new. You know the old saying, there's always two ways to skin a what? Cat. Well, I'm trying to get around writing on the board. I'm trying to get around that. So this is the way I'm doing it. So standard deviation and variance. And the reason I'm doing this is I'm putting them side by side is because I want you to see what the difference is. Variance. And now I take my handy dandy whiteboard and clear it and bring it in. Give me a second to find it. Everything's different than the way it was. Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Okay. A student came and asked.
Yeah, I'm not. I had a little tantrum,
Okay.
and not at you or at Tim, but at IT, because if they'd listened to people and put up a board, we wouldn't be having problems.
Your pencil's not working.
it worked so good, but now it's not working. I've tried to write, and the students can tell you, I've tried to write, and it's just not working.
And the soft ones we know don't work.
Yeah. This still needs to be a little bit more firmer.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but yours is,
No.
I know what you're saying, but that one is too, it's got to be between this soft point and that. That's all I can say. All right, Hubert, what else? Let's bring in the other ones. I'm sorry, what? Okay, y'all got to share. Okay, they're not going to share. They're not going to say anything. All right, look at the two. You see the difference between the two? Okay, so I don't want anybody to think that they're two different formulas. They're not. You just find one, and then you take the square root, and then you have the other. Okay? So we just have to find the variance. The variance is the most important because then you just take the square root. So let's go back to the handy-dandy Excel spreadsheet. And how do we do that? Well, look back at the formula. What do? X minus what?
X bar.
Say these are x's. What is x bar? X bar is 1.41. So we're going to put up here x minus x bar. And we're going to do that in each one. Equals 1.09 minus 1.41. Now, I hit F4 to lock it. If you're an Excel person, you know what that means. If not, then you don't need to be using Excel. Okay? And then I'm going to copy that down. Now, what I want you to do with your calculators is I want you to do the first one, the middle one, and the last one. Make sure you get the same numbers. So therefore, you can actually go through and punch the numbers. Take your calculator and do the first one, the last one.
Variance we're doing.
Yeah, we're doing the variance. We're not there yet. We've got to do 2 or 3 steps.
Yeah, so they can be negative.
Which is the main one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see something weird. That came to me last night. Yeah. Forget that. I think it came to me because of all my
I get those sometimes.
all my weird posts,
Yeah.
all my conservative posts.
Right.
I got a very weird friend request.
I get female Iraqis. Yep. Sure.
Who's an Iraqi?
This
What?
it looks like a radical. He's got the garb and the dress and all that. It looks like a radical. That's why I don't know. And when you click on the name to see what the information, nothing comes up.
Nothing comes up.
Take X.
Okay, now we've got x minus x bar. But what are we going to do to x minus x bar? We're going to square it. So now I'm going to go right here and I'm going to go x minus x bar. I'm going to take x minus x bar, that number, and I'm going to square it. So equals, and what that does is it makes all the numbers what? Makes them all what? Positive. And again, I want you to take the first one and square it, middle one and square it, and the last one and square it so you can go through the motions of doing it so you won't forget what I'm doing. Let me make sure this thing's still recording. Yep. Wow. There's a delay there. I just saw that. It's kind of weird. Okay. Why did it do that? Oh, okay. Evidently it made a noise in the big screen. Okay? Now, look at the formula. What are we going to do to x minus x squared, x minus x bar quantity squared?
You're going to divide it by n.
Nope, not yet. You forgot the first part right there. I'm pointing at
Times
it.
it by,
What does the
Add them
big
all
E
together.
mean? Huh?
Add
Add
them
them
all
up.
together.
So I'm going to go down here. I'm going to go to hit.
Wouldn't you use that? The 11.28?
That's the summation of x. Look at the formula. It doesn't say the summation of x. It says the summation of what? X minus x bar quantity what? Squared.
Oh.
This is x minus x bar. This is x minus x bar squared. Now, I'm going to add all those up, and that's your numerator.
Okay.
.3184. So I'm going to take my .3184 and I'm going to divide it by what is 8 minus 1? 7. Oops, I forgot to put
Okay,
the
so
division
step 3 is add all the.
So if you look, what you just said, and that's a good thing that you just said. I'm going to blow this up, and I'm going to take my handy dandy. I'm going to make that bigger. Okay, if you want to know what you're doing, the first part, just give me a second. This part is part 1, just like you said. That's part 1. Part 2 is what? You square it. And then part 3 is you add it all up. And then the fifth part, or the fourth part, is you divide it by what? N minus 1, which in this case would be 7.
But we can't do it really because we didn't flip out linear, right?
Say again?
Yeah.
Okay, they're talking.
You
Thought they
go,
were asking.
you go back to the numbers
Yeah.
again. I don't have my scientific yet.
So you could actually take this.
And where does 7 come from?
Where's what?
7.
N minus 1.
Yeah, the n minus
N
1.
is
This is the
8.
n right here. 8 minus
Because there's
1.
8
The amount.
numbers.
Mm-hmm. Okay? So, there's our variance. Now, does our variance tell us anything important? No. Okay? But it tells us the number that we take the square root of to get our what? Standard deviation. And the standard deviation is very important. So now I'm going to take that number, and instead of take the square root symbol, I'm going to raise it to the 1/2 power. Okay? Raising something to the 1/2 power is the same as taking the square root. And that is the standard deviation. Now I want everybody to take your calculators, whether you have it on your phone or your TI, and if you have one on your phone, just turn it sideways and it should turn into a scientific calculator. Alright? And I want you to make sure you can get that variance and that standard deviation. Now you're going to get the variance by using this number right here, divided by 7. 8 minus 1.
Raising a number to the 1/2 power does what?
Is the same as square root. Same as taking the square root. So if you've already got the variance, go ahead and take 0.04548571 and raise it to the 0.5 power.
Here, I can show you. Take the 31 and 5 and minus 1, and it's 8 because there's 8 numbers, so it's 7. And then we're going to multiply that by, or not multiply it, sorry. Square it. We're going to square it. No.
Do the x2. The x with the little 2 at the top, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Do those. Yeah. Wait. Yeah.
No, that's it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, hopefully y'all get those numbers okay. Now, there's 2 or 3 things that you can do with the standard deviation. Remember me talking to you about the margin of error? And telling you that the margin of error was kind of like an estimate. You go above it and you go below it. Well, the standard deviation is the same thing. All right? If I tell you that I can fix your car for $200 plus or minus $50. What does that mean? That means that the middle is 200, the upper end is what? And the bottom end is, does everybody understand that? I mean, that's just an example from real world. Okay, an example for using the estimate. All right. Well, the estimate is just like the mean, and I'm going to mark these with green highlight because they go together. They always go together. These 2 guys right here. The mean and the standard deviation is just like the 200 plus or minus $50. Okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say 1.41 plus or minus 0.2132738. 738. Okay, and except going now with the estimate, you only went once. But if you took the estimate twice, this would be what? 300, and this would be what? 100. All right, that's if you did the estimate 2 times instead of 1 time. All right, remember the estimate was 200 plus or minus $50. So I took 200, I add 50, and I add 50. Took 200, I minus 50, and I minus 50. All right, that's the way the real world does estimates, except they don't do the second one. They just do the first one. They say, okay, I can fix your car for 200 plus or minus $50. Okay, now instead of the 200, you're going to put 1.41, and now you're going to add the standard deviation on the right equals, oops, something happened. Wait a minute. There. Equals this guy, 1.41 plus that right there. And then I'm going to add it again. This guy plus that. And then on this side, I'm going to subtract it. Just like you did the estimate.
You're about to draw a hump in the road.
Mm-hmm.
I could feel it coming on.
You remember. That's good.
Sure I do.
And there is your standard, your normal distribution with 95% falling in between two standard deviations. Okay, and I'm going to go over here or down here and I'm going to put 200.
And what's that called?
It's called like the normal distribution. We're going to get into that in just a minute. Plus or minus $50. And I'm going to put 200 here, 250, 300, 150, and 100. The reason I'm doing the estimate and is because for some reason students have a hang up about this right here. They have a hang up about it, and no matter how many times I go over this, they still have the same hang up. Where'd you get the 1.836? But if I put it along the lines of an estimate, and they see that this 300 is plus 50 from here, then they'll see that this is plus this from here. Okay? You add it the same way. 2 on the right, 2 on the left. Some books, some homework questions, some test questions want you to carry it to 3. And that would be equals to this plus this. So you need to write this down in your notes where these numbers are coming from. Because what will happen is you'll get home, you'll try to be doing your homework, and you'll be like, where do you get that number? There they are. Now, what I want you to do with your calculator right now, besides texting, is add those numbers up, 1.41, and add 3 on the right and 3 on the left with your calculator, and see if you get the same numbers. Right quick, just to make sure you know what you're doing.
All the way across we're adding them, right?
Yes, should be. On the right, you're adding them. On the left, you're subtracting them. And you need to write down in your notes how you got those numbers.
What you added?
I know.
0213267.
Yeah, I know that. But when you get home and you're doing a problem, you're going to forget. Students forget.
Are we going to do another one of these in here?
Oh, yeah. We're going to do about 4 or 5 of them before the week's out. Now, I'm going to erase this right here. And what usually happens with these numbers here is you take your handy dandy whiteboard and you take your line. I'm trying to draw everything without having to use my hands.
To the end.
And that ain't gonna work.
That ain't big enough.
Well, I'm trying to get it in between that green highlight. There you go. Now, what usually happens is, I'm going to use vertical line. I'm not going to use freehand. Now this would be a whole lot easier if I could do it with my stylus. What are you doing? Okay, and there you go. Now, I need you to write down the empirical rule. Write down the empirical rule. Empirical, I think. Now, of course, your book does not call it the empirical rule because y'all are too ignorant to understand or to spell empirical. They call it the 99.7, 68, 34 rule. Book is stupid. Okay? All right? All statistics books call the rule that I'm fixing to go over called the empirical rule, not this book. So I'm going to go and I'm going to pull up just to show you. I'm going to pull up the empirical rule.
You're talking about the 13.5, 34,
There.
blah, blah, blah.
Yep. See, if you pull up the empirical rule on Google, you get this. And that's what it's supposed to be. There's all kinds of pictures of the empirical rule. So all I want you to do is I want you to write down, let's do this one, it's colorful. There we go. There's the empirical rule. Let me make it a little bit bigger or see if I can. View image. I doubt I'm going to be able to make it bigger unless I do the zoom feature. Yeah. I don't want to do that because then it'll mess everything up. So, now, if you look at this,
You say you have 120?
kind of remember a gas tank. All right? If you remember a gas tank, and I have to draw it, of course. I'm going to draw it by the mouse. Here's your thing on your dashboard. And right here you have a mark. 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 And right here you have a mark. Okay? And this one is full. This one is 3/4. This one is a half.
You can do fuel economy.
Nope. This one is 1/4. And this one is empty. Now, if you got a Ford Explorer, if you get near empty, you need to fill it up or put gas in it. Because if the needle even hits, I've had like 3 or 4 Ford Explorers in my lifetime. Not me, my dad, my mother, my sister. Everybody's had a Ford Explorer. And if your needle even touches that E, you're going to be stranded. Okay? But maybe they've made them better. I don't know. But which way do we read?
I read from left to right.
Okay. If you're reading from right to left, then you need to talk to my friend that tried to add me. What's his name?
Ahmad.
Ahmad Ullah Afghar Zadran. Masalama. Okay. This is 0%. Then what would this be right in here? This would be like 1/4.
Yeah.
Then what would this be at the top?
Half.
Half. Then this right in here would be 3/4. Then what? Full. Now, if you want to check it, well, what's close to 0? 0.15. All right, then let's add up these right in here. Well, 13.5 and 2.5 is around 16%, right? And then you go a little bit more, there's a quarter, maybe 25% would be right in here. Well, halfway at the curve would be what? 50%. So let's add it up. 34 plus 16. Wow. 3, 4, 50%. It's a miracle. And then, of course, 75% would be right about here. Add those up. That's 68%. 68% plus 2 is 70%. You get about 80% right about here. So 75% would be right about there. See why I'm making a, I guess you call it correlation. I'm making something similar for you to grab onto. The fuel indicator in your car and this. All right? If you add those numbers up, you'll get the same numbers on your fuel indicator. All right? Now, what about full? What's full? 100%. If you add up all those from the left to the right, what are you going to get? You're going to get 100%. All right? Now, the homework questions, you're going to see some homework questions that's going to refer, and what do they call it in your book? Because y'all can't spell empirical and y'all don't know what it means. What do they call it in your book, Miss Bradley?
It's like the something percent rule, or
It's called the, I thought you had it. Well, you said it. How did?
I have the book.
Oh.
I have 120's book.
Oh, I thought you, somebody look for it. It's in
call
your
it the
book
empirical
somewhere.
rule,
I
because
know.
I know how to spell and read. And
Just keep looking for it. When y'all find it in there.
Calling it anything else? Is it something?
Well, in 103, you have to call it different because the book is. I think it's called the 13.5, comma, 68, comma, 99.7 rule or something like that.
68, 95, 99.7.
What page is that on?
387.
Page 387.
Yeah, because that's easier to remember than empirical.
Yeah.
I mean, really?
It's a whole lot easier to remember this than it is to remember empirical. Y'all figure it out. Now, the reason they're going to ask you this is because what's that mu mean right there? That's the average. This is the average plus the standard deviation. Average plus 2 standard deviations. Average plus 3 standard deviations. Now take your handy dandy calculator right now, and I want you to highlight, I want you to add up this highlighted area on the empirical rule. Take those numbers and add them up and tell me what number you get.
$34 and 34?
All the highlighted area. Trying to stay within the lines.
99.7?
99 point what?
7.
It should be, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I went too far. Hold on. There. Add those up.
I bet it equals 95.
Yep. All right. So I need you to write under that 95% of the population will fall between 2 standard deviations. Write it just like that. 95% will fall between 2 standard deviations. That's like a general rule. And then you, as a mathematician, need to find out what the standard deviation is. And you go to your handy-dandy Excel spreadsheet, and where is 95% going to fall? It's going to fall between point what? 0.98 and what?
1.8.
1.84. So if you have 100 people fall out of a plane, 95 is going to fall between 0.98 and 1.83 miles, or whatever the case may be, or whatever you're figuring, okay? 95% is going to fall between those numbers. Now, let's also think of something else. I want to talk about, you know that 95% is going to fall, and I'm going to color that green because that is the letter, that is the color that depicts good, right? Now, my daughter, when she was little, she called normal. And that's something I've always remembered. So, between two standard deviations is called normal. So you need to write that down because that's going to be a homework question or whatever the question may be. It's going to ask, is this normal or not?
Is it statistics that fall?
What?
No.
95% of the population is going to fall between two standard deviations. That's also called normal. Outside of two standard deviations, and we'll color this maybe a pink color or a
Magenta.
yes, magenta, or maybe a mauve. There's pink. It looks more like a mauve.
Can't say pink, it's racist.
Okay. We'll call this unusual. Outside of two standard deviations is unusual.
That's the 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
0.15.
Yes. And outside, and we'll color this red, outside of three standard deviations is your 6 foot tall first graders or your 2100 SATers. What are those called? Outliers. So the red area and beyond is called outliers. The magenta area is called unusual. And the green area is called normal. What's the opposite of, what's the same as normal? Not unusual. You're going to see some homework questions in your homework probably that's going to say something like, is this not unusual? Well, what is not unusual? Not unusual means normal. Okay, you got to think about it. Why would somebody put that in a question? The same reason somebody thinks 13.5, 68, 99.7 is easier to remember than empirical. Okay, so be prepared to actually, see not unusual. Okay? All right. Now, that's where we're going to stop for today. Wednesday, all we're going to do is work about 5 or 6 of these problems. Okay? You are not responsible yet for doing that. But make sure that you get up to 6.1 as far as finding the average, the mean, the median, the mode, the range, and the mid-range. I'm not going to hold you for homework on the standard deviation yet because I think we're going to go over that more Wednesday, okay? All right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shut down the recording if I can find it. Well, right now I've got 2 screens. The mouse is staying on one screen. Get out of this and go to Tri-County Tech. Well, let me go to the thing over here.